back, Reading Squad. Today, we will be reading Larry Gets Lost in San Francisco. So, if you like these videos like this, give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe.
Larry Gets Lost in San Francisco. Larry Gets Lost in San Francisco. This is Pete. This is Larry. They like to ride in the back seat. The car rolled along and soon broke through the fog. Then Mom, Dad, Pete, and Larry, his dog, saw not one but two bridges going their way, one reddish orange, the other one gray. The Bay Bridge and the Presidio, Ferry Building, San Francisco Bay, Telegraph Hill, Nob Hill, Russian Hill, Transamerica Pyramid. Golden Gate Bridge, completed in 1937, the bridge is 746 feet tall and 8,981 feet long. It's painted a bright color so that it can be seen through the fog. He first saw a building with a big yellow dome. It looked like a place that a knight might call home. Palace of the Fine Arts. Turtles, ducks, and other water animals swim in the beautiful lagoon that surrounds this grand building. Chiradelli Square. Right. Here. There was once a big chocolate factory here, but now it's shops and restaurants. You can still buy all kinds of sweet treats to eat here, but remember, dogs can't eat chocolate. The next place they saw was a beautiful square with the scent. Was that chocolate that filled up the air? From where Larry stood by the ground on all fours, he saw an old wooden ship near the shore. Pete's parents reminded them, don't wander far, as they accidentally boarded a cable car. These vehicles pulled along tracks on the ground are a popular way to get around town. For the ride, Larry sat himself right beside Pete till he saw a glazed donut roll down the street. Cable car. When a cable car reaches the end of the line, it has to be turned around by hand on a big turntable. He watched it, then chased it, teeth chomping in the air. When he finally caught it, this is Lombard Street. The famous part of the street has 8 twisting curves, one right after another, which keeps people from driving too fast on the very steep hill. Pete wasn't there. Larry suddenly felt an uh-oh in his heart. He had to find Pete, but where should he start? Running, not knowing which way he should take, he searched through the neighborhood that was colored like cake. Alamos Square. The park is the home of the famous row of Victorian houses known as the Painted Ladies, or the Six Sisters. Higher and higher ran the lost little pup, up a hill, up a tower, up, up, up. But even from here he could not see his friend, so to search somewhere else he ran back down again. Coit Tower. At the very top of the Telegraph Hill, from Coit Tower you can see all of San Francisco. As you can tell, because there's the buildings and there's Larry. He then found himself at a fisherman's place. Streetcars brought people who stopped at fast pace. He rode on a ferry to an island of rock, which many small rooms each had bars and a lock. An interesting visit, but who'd want to stay? Larry was happy to ferry away. Alcazar Island, nicknamed the Rock. The island has been home to a lighthouse, a military fort, and a prison. Now the National Park Service gives tours. Fisherman's Wharf. This is the place San Francisco's fishing boats call home. But now the wharf is more famous for its shops and seafood restaurants. High up in an elevator made out of glass, Larry looked down and saw lots of folks pass. Far below, in the crowd on the bustling street, he checked every person, but he couldn't see Pete. His search took him next to a big noisy place, part museum, part factory, inside the same space. The cables come in and go out underground, pulling the cable cars all over town. Union Square. The glass elevators on the outside of the St. Francis Hotel rise 32 stories above the street. Cable Car Museum. Here, visitors can see antique cable cars and watch the giant wheels turn as they pull the cable cars up and down the city's steep streets. He then met some lions whose faces were stone, and he asked them to help him, but not so alone. Be not so alone. They offered no answer. Larry did not want to wait, so he left them to stand watchful guard at the gate. Dragon Gate. The Chinese call the two stone lions that guard this gate Fu Dogs. Just past the gate, some strange buildings appeared. New smells reached his nose, new sounds filled his ears. Sam's Woes. This 100-year-old restaurant has a tiny elevator, which is used to send food from the kitchen to the upstairs dining room. In the crowded confusion, he saw one restaurant spot that could stop passerby whether hungry or not. He saw a huge arrow stuck in the ground as if some giant archer left it there to be found. Cupid's Span, San Francisco Oakland Bridge. AT&T Park. When home runs are hit out of the park into the bay, they're called splash hits. And speaking of giants, around here they play ball. A loud cheer made everyone outside watch a wall. To see this with Pete, our friend Larry was wishing, while people in boats did a strange kind of fishing. Golden Gate Park is up here. Japanese Tea Garden. This is the oldest public Japanese garden in the United States. Built in 1894, the drum bridge is so steep that there are steps you must climb like a ladder. Its reflection in the water makes a circle. M.H.D. Young Museum. The Fine Arts Museum has a 9-story observation tower, but that gives you a view of the whole park. He discovered a place not so city at all. There were bonuses and rocks near a small waterfall. If he'd been there with Pete, he'd be happy to stay, but he wasn't done looking, so Larry went on his way. Mission Dolores, the oldest building in San Francisco. The mission was founded in June of 1976. Some streets in this place look like museum halls, with huge paintings painted on fences and walls. There were portraits and all kinds of interesting scenes brought to life through reds, yellows, purples, and greens. Mission District. A young man with paint splotches all over his clothes looked down to see Larry right under his nose. He smiled at Larry and asked, "Are you alone?" Then he checked the dog's collar and took out his phone. Seal Rock. Here is where San Francisco meets the Pacific Ocean. The artist knew lots about helping lost pets. He found Pete in the place that's at coast as it gets. Larry jumped up and wagged his tail, licking Pete's face, and they stood there locked in a big embrace. Pete shared with Larry the things he had seen and wondered out loud just where Larry had been. Then they fell fast asleep as the car drove away. It had been quite an adventurous day.